Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? I've been missing the last 2-3 weeks. I'm telling y'all, life be life, but I was told they was gonna take me out, but some things got changed around. Uh, it is what it is. Whatever. Um, dang, my light in here. Hold on, man. Let me throw my light on. I got terrible lighting down. Light. I have terrible lighting down here in my basement. Let me plug my light up. Uh, all right, y'all. All right. All right, y'all. Let me take this drag off. The lighting down here is terrible, y'all. I need to get some lights. Oh, what's up, OG Tank? What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I decided to go live. It's told something different, but I hook y'all up too. I need to put on music. Let me put on my hat, y'all. I'm all over the place today. Yeah, I'm a little worried about my Steelers this season, man. I don't know how that quarterback room gonna shake up for my Steelers, man. I don't know. I'm a little worried about my Steelers this season, especially with the division that we in. Browns, Ravens, and the Bengals. Hey, New York, we y'all. I am so sorry, but school season about to start. All the stuff. I am going to get y'all stuff out pretty soon. New York, you got the optic. Did you ever get in touch with Howard J about your optic? Hit yay or nay. I think I got to go through your profile and get. Fine. I still got y'all names right here, so I haven't threw y'all names away. Jason with the bag, did you get in touch with Ray Official? Let me know. There were 2 people that donated on the giveaway, and it's 2 of you guys that won the bag for Jason Ewing and the optic for New York Outcast for your optic. I'm gonna go to your. I got his Instagram, so what I'm gonna end up having to do is go to your profile and send me your information so you can send your optic. Okay. I gotta find a way to get in touch with you so you can get your optic from Howard J. Shoot. Okay. We're gonna try to find some way to get in touch with you, New York. We gotta get your optic out to you. Shout out to Howard J and shout out to Ray Official for donating some for donating for the 1K giveaway. Thank you guys for that, man. That's a solid. Thank you very, very much. And this was from Ray. Official. I haven't forgot about the rest of y'all though. TK, Chris Stevenson, and Shayna. Shayna. Lady S. I haven't forgot about you guys. Y'all are still on my desk. I'm not gonna forget you guys. What's going on, Jigs? A lot of y'all know this past Saturday, I had my agility test for the sheriff department. And we'll get to that later on. But I did get some good news. And I'm gonna share that probably before we get up out of here. $100 cash out. Oh, gee, I'm broke. I got to give out these gifts first. The ones that won the 1K, I got to get their stuff out. When I owe you $100 on cash out. So, I did want to kind of jump on some things, just talk, a little gun talk, a little about my Steelers. Shout out to my wife. She wants some tickets. I am going to see the Steelers this Saturday coming up. Play the Detroit Lions. I will have my Steeler gear on. I'm not going, even though I live in Detroit, I'm not going with Detroit Lions stuff on. So I will have on. Okay, cool. That's all I needed. Okay. Let me write your information down. I'll get it over to Howard J. So we can send you that optic. Okay, that'll work. As long as I got a P.O. box or something for you. So I will be going to a Detroit game. And I will be seeing I think that's their last preseason game. Okay, I got you. But I'm gonna send this over to him so to send your optic. But I think the Lions are playing the Steelers for their last preseason game. So, oh no, man, thank you, man, for tuning in, Outcast, man. You've been supporting me, jumping on the live. So, man, thank you. And thank Howard J, man, for donating that optic, man. I appreciate him, man, for sure. He didn't have to be nice, but thank you, Howard J, man. I appreciate you, brother, for jumping in and giving away an optic for my 1K, man. And I definitely won't forget that, brother. And so shout out to Howard J for the donation. What's going on, Hot Tub? But yeah, man, I'm a little scared of my Steelers, man. I'm a little uncertain what we're gonna do this season. And so, but I will be going to see them in preseason. And see what happens. See if I'm hoping Russell Wilson started and he get us right, man. But Justin Fields looked like he's going to be our future as far as quarterback. And he's a pretty decent quarterback. I hope we can do something with him. I'm hoping we can do something with him as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I don't know. We look like we might be having Brandon Ayuk from the San Francisco 49ers. He looking like he might be moved off the 49ers and possibly coming over here to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I don't know, man. I'm a little scared. What's up, Bulletproof? I'm a little scared of what we gonna do this season. So I'm banking on hope. I'm banking on hope for my Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see. If we can win just as many as we win one, we should at least, with the sorry quarterback play that we had last year, and we barely got in the playoffs. I think with these two quarterbacks, we should at least win 2 more games and secure ourselves a spot in the playoffs. So that's what I'm hoping, especially with the sorry quarterback play we had last year, and we was able to steal. Tomlin was able to still be able to pull off and be able to get into the playoffs last year with the crappy quarterback play we had last year. If we can win, I'm expecting to win at least 2 more games. Compared to what they won last year with the core, with the with us having a Super Bowl quarterback and then a young one that's got potential. I think we should at least win 2 more and be able to secure ourselves a spot in the playoff, road to the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see how my boys do. So, and I want to share. I want to talk about something. I'll be on. What in the world is going on? Dang, what the hell going on? Okay, now this thing, this thing dead. Oh, what's going on? Oh, gotta plug it in first. So I gotta ask y'all a question. Hold on, but we're gonna get into something else right quick. Now, hold on. No, where am I? Hold on, y'all. Let's do this YouTube. Let's share. Let's see. Who do I want to put on here? I've been looking at this one guy. I'm gonna throw him up here. He actually made me look into a new get home bag. Let me hold on, y'all. All right, let's see if we can do some shorts.
So I'm gonna go over what's in my get home bag, and then what's on my play carrier. I kind of did my play carrier a little bit, but I didn't really run like specs.
Let me go shorts. Yeah, shorts on.
Who else?
So this.
Who else? Appendix carry.
Shout out to this guy, man. His actual name is Warrior 4, the number 4, Christ. It's his YouTube channel, man. Go check him out, man. I've been probably watching him the last 2 weeks. So this is a short of his. Like I said, spelled like it said, Warrior 4 Christ. Check his channel out, man. I've been pretty interesting to see some of his stuff. So we.
Don't do that. That's not mature.
Who else? Appendix carry.
So this.
Who else? Appendix.
So shout out to him, man. Go check out his channel, Warrior for Christ TV, or it's either Warrior for Christ. And so definitely go check this guy out. Got some pretty good stuff on his channel. Like I said, I've been following them for the last 2 weeks. I want to say, as you can see, I just put it like that. That's this Warrior for Christ. What's up, Virginia Bushcrafter? And so, yeah, definitely check him out. We're going to hop into I forgot. See, I was supposed to go somewhere today, but, oops, nope, I didn't want to do that. That's it. But I found out something else. So I am going to invite you guys in. Shout out to what is his name? I was looking at his channel the other day, and in his home state of New Orleans, I believe they are vetoing parole. I think they're getting rid of parole. Let me put this because my bad, y'all. I kick my own self out my own dang on lie. I'm retarded. He was saying something about in New Orleans. They're talking. Well, they have wiped out parole. So if you normally, you know how you get on parole. Okay, it's Louisiana. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Thank you. $2. The state of Louisiana is vetoing parole. So that means if normally, you know, you might say you get a 20-year sentence and you maybe can be paroled, you can go for parole within 10 years of your sentence. Let's say that. Louisiana, I think, is not going to be using that anymore as far as the parole thing. Oh my God, what is his name? What's his name said it? Let me find my phone, y'all. I don't want to misquote him on information that that's going on. Let me find his YouTube because he called himself the Wizard Uncle James. I don't know who I'm talking about. Alert TV. That is. It might be different now. I think he changed it. Alert. I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Hold on. Because he said it on his channel. I gotta find his channel. Oh, we lost against the Bills, 3-9. Dog, we gotta have some better offense. All right, Charles. We still ain't scoring that much, like I thought we would. That's for sure. Let me find. Oh, he was just talking about the other day, and I thought that was interesting on Louisiana dropping parole. I thought that was very interesting on a lot of levels because, if they do it in one state, it might be coming to yours. And, once that window has been open here in America, they like to follow suit. So it could be a possibility that without parole, could be coming. Oh, okay, so they not the first one. So Virginia, okay. See, you open up one Pandora's box, then there's more to come, more to follow behind. And so, hey, be careful on what box you're trying to open, because you might have it might come to your family's doorstep. Oh, the Alert Zone TV. That's who it is. Hold on, let me see something, y'all. Because I actually want to play that particular video that he was talking about. All right, Louisiana. I'm sorry, it is Louisiana. Louisiana ends parole. Let me get that out of there. The Alert Zone. Shout out to him, man. He does a lot of. He talks about a lot of legal stuff as well. So go check him out, man. He's got a good page too. I've been subscribed to him for a minute. For quite some time. All right, we're gonna play what he was talking about. All right. Hold on. What's going on?
Has a longer
Can y'all hear that?
genesis, if you will. So I'm gonna share that with you guys here and girls. So as of last Thursday, August the 8th, if you are convicted of a crime in the state of Louisiana,
all right, thanks, Charles.
You cannot get parole anymore. So let's just say they give you 30 years, where everybody used to know most state charges was you did 50% and you got out. Some states decided to go with the 85%, with the 94 crime bill thing. Well, Louisiana has decided to end parole, period. So as of last Thursday on forward, if you are convicted of a crime, there is no parole. I'm going to tell you why this is significant and where this came from and how they was able to get this pushed through. And some of y'all ain't going to like what I'm about to say, but I can always prove what I say when I'm telling you it's a statement of fact. It has a racial origin, but it's going to have an unintended consequence down the line. I'll tell you what I mean by that. So let's go back in time. So, if I live to the end of August, I'll be 45, which means I came of age during the crack era.
Yeah, it is
the devastation of crack.
You're absolutely right, Bushcrafter. And it's
I was in elementary school when the 1986 anti-drug abuse law was passed. At the time, I didn't understand it until the 90s is when I really got to kind of understand what that law was. For those of you who don't know, it was the 100-to-1 guideline. 1 gram of crack equaled 100 grams of powdered cocaine, because crack wasn't only smoked by Black people, but the media put it out there as a Black epidemic. There was, if you're from Pigeon Town in New Orleans, back there in the hole, you know them folks used to come across the train tracks, down Willow, down Oak, come and get their little rocks and go on back across the train track. So that ends that myth about it just being a Black drug, but nevertheless. Well, because it was the Black epidemic, Joe Biden, yeah, your president, co-authored the 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act, which made the 100-to-1 disparity, but they also got the Rockefeller laws and the mandatory minimum sentences passed through that. And what that meant is, for whatever crimes that was committed involving crack cocaine, there was a mandatory minimum. It was a federal thing, but
in LA.
it started off federal, and I'll show you how the states got to it. So basically, crack was seen as a Black person's drug. For the dealer and the user, the crime was the same. They didn't say the users was going through a health crisis. We were all criminalized. It's 2024. I can guarantee you right now, there's people, and I don't mean kingpins. That's what everybody keep thinking is these kingpins. I don't mean kingpins. There's people that got caught with users amounts that's still sitting in prison right now from the 80s, from that Anti-Drug Abuse Act, 100-to-1. So the mandatory minimums came. So think about this. A gram of crack equals 100 grams of powdered cocaine. I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Let's just say a 7-gram quarter back in the days went for $250, $300, depending on where you got them from. But we'll just stick with the medium. They're in between, halfway. We say $250. That's the properly cooked, a 7-gram quarter. A 7-gram quarter, which was $250 wholesale, is enough to get you sent away for the rest of your life. $250 worth of crack cocaine with the 100-to-1 guideline. Now imagine if you got 1 or 2 grams as a user, a couple rocks in your pocket, and you got basically 200 grams of powdered cocaine. That's trafficking amount under them laws. So you got people that hadn't took bath in 3-4 days that were stone junkies that got basically life sentences because of the 100-to-1 disparity. Now, what they did was you had the 1994 crime bill, which was Biden's law at first, and then they changed it to the crime bill because he tried to run from it, even though he's never apologized for it. But what that did was it incentivized the states with $13 billion of federal money to change their laws to line up with the feds. Now, for those of you who don't know, Louisiana has always had pretty much some of the harshest sentencing laws in the country. My home state of Louisiana, outside of New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and maybe Shreveport, the rest of the state looks like a swamp and still old plantations. It has not moved into the 21st century. It just hasn't. And the laws reflect that. You know, I'm not going to go into a long diatribe about that, but so now you're going to hear the argument that, well, all these people locked up on the state level, but the feds incentivized them. Well, the state of Louisiana, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. The Anti-86 Drug Abuse Act was created to go after Black folks in particular. the mandatory minimum sentencing was done on the federal and the state level. The 94 crime bill was done on the federal and the state level. It was meant to target black folks because the facts, the numbers bear that out, that there was a mass incarceration.
Mhm.
The unintended consequence was how many white men in the state of Louisiana sitting in prison right now. There's been judges that have been on the record telling first-time white drug offenders, I want to give you less time, but because of the mandatory minimum sentence, I don't have a choice. Because if I give you less time, everybody else that I gave more time to can come and appeal now because they got caught doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
I watched this thing about Angola.
What's going on? I see
and
here's tactical.
There was a inmate by the name of Sidney Deloach Jr., I think, or Sidney Deloach. And he talked about how when he got to Angola, I think in 79 or 80, there basically was hardly any white prisoners, and now white prisoners are all over. That's those mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines, because the myth was that crack was just a black drug. Well, as I just told you guys, if you know, you know, back in the days, them folks came in the hood and bought their stuff and they left. Well, another unintended consequence about the 94 crime bill that a lot of people don't understand is it gave law enforcement the hand to go ahead on and start framing people.
Yep. Fists. I mean, what they call it?
You know, I'm always going to shout out the Gun Freak Nation. My brother Eyes and Ears Tactical, man. The Crash Unit, the Rampart Division, the Jump Out Boys. We can go down the line. Fort Apache, all across the country.
Detroit.
That gave law enforcement what they needed with this three strikes thing. And because people were not grandfathered, if you already had 2 strikes or 2 felonies, as they say, when the 94 crime bill was passed, you didn't get grandfathered. So it didn't start after that. You was already, you know. The part about it a lot of people don't discuss is how law enforcement had the reins to basically set people up who already had 2 strikes.
Stop and frisk.
There's a lot of people sitting in prison that got framed, but because they had 2 prior convictions, they doing life without parole for a crime they didn't even commit because it gave law enforcement free rein. So you guys might want to know, well, what's that have to do with Louisiana ending parole now? Well, black males are the face of carjacking in the country. They're not the only ones who do it, but the media, because they control everything, and because another channel here on YouTube, GunTuber, said America has a Chicago problem. Well, you know what his thumbnail, all you got to do is see his thumbnail, and it tells you basically what he's saying. They use carjacking to get this end of parole passed. Now, carjacking is a heinous crime. I'm not going to even say that it's not. It's the intent of this law that is going to turn around and bite a lot of people in the behind. Because you always got to think about this. Every person that commits crimes or commits a crime, it's not a bad person. Some people commit impulse crimes. Some people, I know people that had money and would steal. You know what I'm saying? So it's not out of the ordinary for somebody to just commit a crime. It happens. But I want you to think about this now. They use carjacking as a way to get this through. They upped the penalty for carjacking. Here's the problem. You're going to have a lot of people that got an accessory charge, that got a low-level offense, that's going to be sitting in prison. Hold on. Sorry about that, everybody. But, so, a lot of people is going to wind up doing long prison times for crimes they either didn't commit or maybe a first-time offender. So I want you guys to understand that this is a deterrent. I wish it was done out of genuinely wanting to end crime. But if you know anything about the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, well, the less said about him, the better. You guys can go look it up. He's one of those Republicans, and he's one of those hypocrites. He'll tell you he's against immigration, all the while he had a state contract where he had nothing but illegals working for him. That's a fact. So he's one of them type, But if you didn't live in the 90s, maybe you don't understand why some people supported the 94 crime bill and some people didn't. Some people supported the 94 crime bill because the killings was out of hand. But some people understood the racial component to the 94 crime bill. I feel the same way. Hold on. Sorry again about that, everybody.
Yeah, we got about 50 seconds.
So, yes, while we see carjacking has gotten out of control, and especially a couple years ago, you had the lady getting off from work, the elderly lady that was carjacked by that young man and those little girls, and basically they killed the woman. It's going to have an unintended consequence, but I'm going to say this. This is going to spread across the country. It's starting in Louisiana. It is going to spread across the country. If you know anybody that's into all that, especially in my home state of Louisiana, you better tell them, just give it up, man. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I saw that, and they used carjacking to get this through. And yes, we're against crime here, but we are against taking the right approach. We're not against a racially coded solution, because you may support it now, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that supported the 94 crime bill until that shit knocked on their front door. Mm-hmm. And they sitting back there, they got kids that just got sucked into something that's doing life without parole, and there's nothing they can do about it. Hit me in the comment section, let me know what you think. Until next time, stay safe, stay on high alert.
Shout out to Uncle James, man. If y'all haven't, go subscribe to his I've been subscribed for him for a while now, but he does put out a lot of legal videos out. Very informational. I'm not saying follow everything that he does or what he says, but go do your own research. And man, I did do some research on Louisiana and that new without parole, not using parole anymore. So you got to go look for yourself. But he has a very great informational channel. He's very, very conversational. So if you not haven't subscribed to the Alert Zone TV, go give it a holler. What's going on, Eyes and Ears Tactical, man? I'm sorry, but I seen you was back there waiting so patiently. What's going on, brother?
Oh shit, nothing much, Skilly, man. Just got back from New Orleans Thursday.
You was in New Orleans, huh?
Yeah, my daughter started college at Xavier University.
Oh, okay, man. Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. She down there, full scholarship on softball. So got to stay down there for about 10 days, set her up, make sure everything was going well. You know what I'm saying? Do all that orientation and all that stuff.
Man, you got to make sure the baby's set right before you get up out of there.
But yeah, man, James Walker, man, just touching upon that Louisiana, that no parole, that's going to be trending for sure because California's looking at that. But see, the problem is, it ain't a problem, but the fact is that they make so much money off the CDC. I can't speak about every state, but in California, they make a ton of money off the CDC. It's a lot of investors. And so the recidivism is important, the revolving door, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So it may not necessarily, I agree with James, it's going to travel, but it may not travel to states that have a huge income off the correctional facilities. So you're talking about, like, you wouldn't need as many sheriffs, you wouldn't need as much of anything, because now you're going to be just locking people up for infinitely. So where's all the other criminals going to go? You see what I'm saying? because really a lot of criminals that when they get paroled, they just go right back.
Yeah.
They just go right back. It's a revolving door. And then you got the younger generation of kids that are following their foot tracks. So they're crashing out at age 15, 16 in juvenile hall facilities. And then when they get 18, they bump them up.
Bump them up.
So you really, if you're looking at it from a corrupt standpoint, it would be kind of like taking money out their own pockets, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the South it's different. So the South is still the chain gang. So
Yeah.
their governor is using people from some Central America, Mexico, on government contracts because they're not in prison, but they're still using this illegal migration to fuel their economy. But when you talk about Louisiana versus California, you're talking about the low, the pretty much the poorest state in the union. Probably, I think South Carolina ranked the poorest state in the union, and I think Louisiana is like 3, Mississippi is like 4, and conversely, California is the 3rd largest economy in the world. So it's nearly no comparison. You can't really compare those two states. But those southern states, I can see this easily traveling, like Alabama and Florida. I can see them easily adopting this no parole or no good time, so to speak. Just my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, you fine. We always talk. It's a good conversation, man. Regardless, because like you said, man, I wish they would do it to stop crime, but a lot of times when they make these laws, they're making it off. It's not really good intentions. It's
no
to try to make a statement or try to do something to boost their name or something. So I do agree with James. If they would do it for something like, if it was something that they was doing to get to try to trim down crime or get rid of crime, then that's I'm all for it. But man, a lot of stuff is motivated to who they can get in office, and once they get them in office, what they can have them do for them. So
absolutely.
What's going on, Hot Tub?
What's happening, Skilly?
Not much, brother.
Hey, man. Shout out to the brother that you got up on there, because he did touch on something that was very true with what's going on in Louisiana. So you got a twofold problem. The state instituting no parole, and also at the same time, you're looking at the black crime rate over the past 60 years has gone down. And even from the height, it had a big spike in the 80s and 90s due to the crack era. But now we're not going to jail in mass numbers like that. When you look at the drug side of the game, crack and cocaine pretty much dead right now.
Yeah.
So you can't lock us up in mass numbers. And like you say, they like the brother said, look, they try to use the carjack and everything. But even with those type of crimes, we don't do those in large numbers. Those if you look at carjacking, that's mostly Hispanic. Mm-hmm. So how can you keep this prison industrial complex going, especially when a lot of states have incentivized have been incentivized sending these people to private prisons that profit off of them because they have deals with the state to where they have to keep those numbers at a certain level, or the state has to pay those private prisons for those people for those empty beds. Mm-hmm. So you take parole away, bam, I don't have to pay the private prisoners that fee that they add on to it. And I'm also keeping a large segment of the black population incarcerated. But those guys are old. So you're not even with this tactic, this is not sustainable long term. So don't be surprised in states like Louisiana and Mississippi that you don't start seeing them try to do another mass incarceration tactic, because it's easy to incarcerate black folks. Mm-hmm. And that's just the long and short of it. What they don't want to do is go after the real criminals. And like he said in the video, it's a lot of white folks commit crimes. Mm-hmm. Overwhelmingly, they commit more crimes than any other groups in the country, and that's not a knock to them, but that's just by sheer numbers. It's more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Crimes. So, these states are trying to figure out how can we continue to target black, because the crime bill was an economic boom for a lot of states, and boom is trickling down. So how do we keep this ball rolling? Well, you either got to do one or two things. You got to actually prosecute the real criminals of the crime, or you got to go out there and target demographic. I mean, ideally, and I say this, don't take this wrong the way I say it. Ideally, they should be going after the illegal immigrants, because number one, their whole existence in the country is a crime.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, criminalize it. But you have a Democratic Party on the other side that's saying, no, you can't go after these people. We deem them to have value. So the only group that you can continue to oppress, it would be black folks.
Yeah.
Which, like I say, we're not committing crimes at a high level as a people anymore. They make us to face crime. But even within the last 5 years, they say our crime level is dipped lower than most other groups. Every other group's crime levels are on the rise. Ours are actually declining. Just by the FBI's own crime numbers. Across the board, every crime that you label as a black crime, you cannot even put us as the face of it anymore. So what do you do with that situation when I have to keep these prisons at a certain level? I cannot have these dip below this level, but my target demographic, I can commit crimes anymore. How do I keep sustaining this? And that's what you're seeing in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's part of the reason why they went to the constitutional carry law. They wanted to let these young kids that don't have no guidance and leadership in these poor economic subdivisions. Now they going around packing guns now. So what you might see is a spike of unjustifiable homicide, so to speak, because now you have the right to carry a gun. Now we have to prove that you have the right to shoot this person.
Yeah.
And so that might be the new spike, Jovan, in my opinion. Like in the fight, they did that intentionally. Because they came out of nowhere, like out of left field. Like all of a sudden, constitutional carry. You don't have to do anything. You can carry a gun.
Yeah.
I thought that was really odd.
And then they're not educated, like you said. Eyes and ears tactical. The young boys running around with guns now. They're taking legally. I mean, now that they can constitutional carry and don't know the law. And
I was just down there, right? So and I didn't go out at night because I don't do that. Anybody follow my channel? I do not go out at night unless I really, 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 really have to. And if I'm out at night, everybody knows I'm at a softball field at a tournament. Okay, that's it. But I went out in the daytime and I was really observing, watching, cruising around, hitting these certain areas. And I was telling my wife like where we not going, where we not going to do, and pretty much the French Quarter, you got to carry cash. Okay. Because a lot of Louisiana, if you haven't been down that area, they have ATMs every freaking where, but the vendors don't want to process their services off credit, if that makes any sense. They don't want debit, they want cash, so they can pay their staff out and all that kind of stuff. And that's when you can tell like these operations are being ran by people who are not actually on books, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Didn't file a W-2. Because whenever you go in a place and they say cash only, it allows the operators to pay their staff without actually reporting their earnings correctly, in my personal opinion. So the French Quarter is all cash. And I said, okay, so that's interesting. So we're all walking around and I'm looking at all the, what's going on. For the most part, come from California, I didn't see as much homeless. I mean, we are the epitome of homeless. Like it's everywhere here, right? But down there, it was just basically certain cats was alcoholic drug guys laying out on the street and stuff like that. But I did notice that the youngsters that was coming down. They didn't come, not too many youngsters, but I was like, why are all these kids in groups? You see what I'm saying? So I could see that whole gun law, it's going to be a problem moving forward because you got kids don't even know how to do conflict resolution. They don't even know how to speak out what's bothering them. So now you give them a gun and it's hot and you ain't got no money. I can totally see that can be a bad issue. And then, this guy I was talking to was from down there. He said, oh yeah, if you go down to the third ward, it's crazy, and all this kind of stuff. And he said, but they don't come out in the daytime, but at night, this whole place is crazy. And so that's what I heard. The word in the street is down there. Yeah, it's pretty rough for some kids down in that area, man. in that parish right there outside in New Orleans in Bourbon Street and Canal Street, and all they still got all the the street hustlers and the musicians and all the blacks that are in service, waiters and things of that nature. So he's right; it hasn't moved the needle in hundreds of years. It's still the same. I used to live in Monroe, Louisiana, and it's you drive once you get outside of the big cities, yeah, dude, it looks like the same thing, back in the day. So yeah, God bless those kids. I don't know what's going to happen with all that, but they need some economic boost though, for sure.
What's up, Sweet Dog? Go ahead, Hot Talk, Tony.
Another big part of it is that we in other states don't understand that Louisiana's agricultural side is propped up by their prisoners.
Yep.
They don't import a lot of illegals to work the farms, plantations down there because they still have law plantations. Those are done by prison labor. And if you look at the 13th Amendment, the only way that slavery is justified in the United States is during incarceration. So
incarceration, yeah.
Yep.
But these prisons like Angola down, and they got a lot of them down. Angola just the biggest one. But Angola is also a plant. So they work, the guys got, it's mandatory. You can't just sit in your cell all day and say, I don't want a job. No, part of your sentence is that you going out there in fields.
Yep.
Same thing in Texas, same thing down in some parts of Georgia, and our prisons are like that too. So it's still propping up the economy. That's an essential part of the economy in Louisiana. How do we do this without bringing in this large population? We don't want this other population to come in because there's still an assumption that South that if we bring in too many Hispanics in the South, that black folks, they'll boast that. Well, anybody who look at California can see they ain't gonna do that.
Right.
We're two different cultures. We don't mix. Whenever they get large enough area, it's detrimental to us. But you have people that don't understand. So with that, they're saying, hey man, we got enough, for lack of a better term, we got enough slaves right here we can work.
Yeah.
So how
you make a great point on that. When you said the crime rate, like far as the incarceration rate for the black man has actually went down, that's facts. And another point I want to make that you made a good point is that it's kind of what my theory. You're absolutely right. We are not going in mass numbers like we used to. It's just not there no more because the reason why Big Pharma is the new drug dealer on the block with the opioids, fentanyl, Xanax, and promethazine and all that kind of stuff. And so now you got kids junked out on that, but that's not directly into the black criminal element. That's not our element.
No.
So we're just a dope fiend now, really, as far as that go. Like with the opioid stuff and the Big Pharma, the black kids are just dope fiends. They don't have no control over that. They have to get those pills from somebody else and then get them to the block, and then they do their Xanax and all that kind of stuff. So my point is, not to ramble, but I believe they opened the borders up because of what you just said, Joval. They can't point everything to black criminal no more. That face has changed. So they got to usher in a new criminal, and that's why they're allowing all these immigrants to come in. And like you said, and it's facts, they coming in with only criminal intent. They're not coming in to go to college. They play basketball, make it to the NBA. They're not trying to do any of that. They're trying to rob, jack, steal. So out here in LA, they got these cats riding around on scooters, doubled up, and they're telling people. And even on my video, I'm telling people, if you're touring around LA and you see some cats riding double on the scooter, they are not carpooling. One of them is about to jack somebody, snatch a person, run, cut through an alley or whatever it may be, and sure enough, that's what they're doing. You are absolutely right. They are coming here, bringing that criminal element, and the government is letting them through because they have to replace. Because all the brothers that's locked up, they're old. Like you said, they're old. Right. They're not coming home. They're doing heavyweight, LWOPs. They're not coming home. So who's going to replace those empty cells? Well, clearly it's not us. So they have to bring in a new wave of crime. And that's what all these immigrants is going to be, the next new black criminals, basically, so to speak. They're replacing us because we're not going to jail in those numbers no more. I just saw it in New Orleans. There's so many kids going to college. It's incredible. Xavier, LSU, Southern, Grambling, Nicholls State. All these universities are bursting at the seam with young kids trying to go to college because the word is out. Hey, we got to start doing better. And it is happening, but they're just not going to publicize it.
Oh, no.
And you are absolutely right. That's a great point, and I think you're right. And the new immigrants are going to replace all the, used to be, oh yeah, that black guy selling drugs. That shit's gone now. There's no more market on that. Weed is already legal. Most of us went to jail on weed. Didn't even go to jail on cocaine. So they're in Louisiana. I was just there. They're giving out California cannabis clubs. They're all down there trying to get it recreational, and they're talking about slapping a 35% tax on it. Same with California. So we're not going to jail there. No, we don't control big pharma. We don't control the weed because remember, if you had a felony, you can't grow weed and make money on it.
Mhm.
So that's how they got us out of that loophole. Because most of the cats that know weed well, they got a felony for selling it. So that takes you out of medicinal marijuana sales. You can't be a proprietor. But so Big Pharma's running it now. Big Pharma got it right now with the Xanax and the fentanyl and all that. And the white boys got the dispensaries. That's legal. And like you said, a lot of Latino and the Venezuelans and illegals, they're doing all the carjacking. Okay. And we all know Vegas runs all the mob stuff, all the gambling and all that crooked stuff. So where's the black crime at? There is no more.
Nope.
It's just residual juvenile kids crashing out. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But you're gonna
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ramble. Sorry.
No, you
good. You're good. But
go ahead, Hot Tub.
You're gonna always have that. But I want you to look at states where you don't have a large black population, states like Washington State, Oregon. You don't have a black population to mass incarcerate. You don't even have a large Latino population yet. Not a sizable one. So what did they do in those states where they have a massive drug problem? They decriminalize all drugs. So now when you go up to Washington State, it's like Night of the Living Dead up there, bro.
It sure is.
I want you, anybody that thinks I'm lying, do a Google search on overdose in Washington. You have whole cities that spend their discretionary funds on Narcan because they have that many overdoses. I want to say it was Portland, Oregon. They said they couldn't, a couple of years ago, they couldn't do a fireworks show in Portland because they spent the money from the discretionary fund, which paid for fireworks, on Narcan.
San Diego, we have Narcan vending machines that are free in San Diego.
See what I'm saying? That, hey, we don't have black people to mass incarcerate. So what those states have chosen to do is say, well, if we don't want to criminalize our people who are the ones selling the drugs and doing them. So we don't want to make the white population in those states the face of crime. So how do you not do that, even though that's clearly who's the criminal?
Yep.
Criminalized. So what you're going to see is a patchwork around the United States now. You're going to have states with a large majority white population where everything is legal.
Yep.
Have states where it's got a sizable black population, i.e. Georgia, Carolina, Mississippi, Louisiana, all the southern states, where they're going to do things like take away parole. You know, any little thing that they can do to keep you incarcerated.
And they're going to do it.
That extreme. And then you got the Midwest in certain areas in up north, like New York and Chicago, where you're bringing in these large immigrant populations that have already started to form and organized criminal gangs that are targeting, certain demographics, and you're going to put them in black communities. That's what they're doing. So you can continue the propaganda and say in Chicago, you got this many criminals, not stating the fact that those areas where you're pointing out be historically black. They populated by Latinos.
Yep.
So that's who committing the crime, but you don't want to make them the face of the crime. And it's a weird little game that they got going on. And what we have to do is black folks, I say we because the majority of your audience is that, not all of them. But we have to be vigilant, number one, on the tactics that they're using.
Mm-hmm.
Two, make sure we stay all the way out of the way.
Exactly.
If it's remotely criminal, hey man, separate yourself from that. Start educating your kids. Like if you in a constitutional carry state, start other
Training.
programs, the way you educate children on how to carry properly.
Yep.
I'm an advocate there. I'm in a free state, like you say, a constitutional carry state. I still get a clear carry license. Why? Because I know
Like,
this.
to go in law enforcement.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying if I could suggest to a lot of the young African American kids that are in the South and doesn't look like they have nothing going on good, nobody to really guide them, I would say either go in the military or go in law enforcement, because at the end of the day, you will be protected in the sense of like you're gonna learn a skill, a trade, you're gonna get uprooted from that area, and you will learn great discipline, and then you will be able to identify someone that's not looking out for your best interest a lot faster than someone that didn't come from your background. So your background will be an edge in the military and law enforcement, whereas in society, you will be ostracized for your background coming from a poor gang-riddled area. You see what I'm saying? I think kids who grow up in hyper-violent areas, if they can get out, like go to college, go to the military, go in law enforcement, they can be a huge asset to themselves and society. But if they stay in the streets, they're not going to really get that opportunity because they're going to probably end up going to juvenile hall, county jail, and in prison. So those are three avenues that are readily available for a kid that doesn't have a lot of money, in my personal opinion.
What, Joe?
Hey, what's up? Hey, thanks for having me on. Hey, welcome back, Skilly. Who's that up on the screen? I can't see a name.
Eyes, ears, tactical.
Hey, what's up, Eyes, Ears, Tactical? Hey, you guys made some good points and everything else, but I don't know if it was mentioned. I kind of came in late, but I think one thing that we also have to do is we talked about, recidivism rates, criminals, Jim Crow laws, and 13th Amendment and everything else. We still have to be positive role models in these young people's lives, because if I don't have a positive role model to model something after, like, how the hell do I know what I'm doing? I'm getting all my cues and everything else from sports players, entertainers, and everything else. And half that shit is just wrong, So we have to be those positive role models and pull someone by the side, put them on the right track and everything else. The prison industrial complex, everyone thinks about it just as the privatization of prisons and everything else. We all think that like that's something new, and it's not. Now, after the Civil War, when they ratified the 13th Amendment, and they made that prison industrial complex. It just wasn't called that then. It was just called, hey, me as a former plantation owner or farmer or factory owner, I need 15 bodies to work in my factory on the low level. Hot Tub Tony's the sheriff. Hey, who you got in your prison cells? Lease them out. So they've been doing this since there's so much money in law enforcement and prisons, right? Don't forget about the judicial system, the judges, the equipment, right? The training, the technology, right? How many companies is making shot detection cameras that they put up in these inner cities and everything else? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. How many companies is making roadside drug tests? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, right? How many companies is making radar guns that we know is jacked up because cops don't know how to use them, right? How many times, as a law enforcement officer, you're going to go take this mandatory class that we got to spend $25,000 on just so you can identify someone that's high? My experience leads me to believe you've been smoking crack.
Right.
Come on, I miss me with that bullshit. So there's incentives all the way around to put people in jail. And like Hot Tub Tony said, as Black males, we are the least protected class. We don't have very many advocates for us. Those that are supposed to be advocating for us aren't, right? And I'm not going to go political and get the channel banned, but look at what allegedly happened in California. Exculpatory evidence was just ignored and thrown out, right, on low-level offenses. And then as a judge or as a cop, I can start stacking charges, and I already got that relationship with the prosecutor and the DA. And I'm like, well, hey, Q's just a bad person. Look where he comes from. He needs to be taught a lesson and send a lesson to the rest of the thugs. So I get the mandatory minimums. I get thrown away. My whole future is just done. I can't apply for scholarships. I can't apply to public housing. My family gets kicked out of public housing. It's that trickle down effect to set up the second and third generation to fall into that same trap.
You have to follow right after. Yeah.
I want y'all to look at something in California. So it was a time California was 40% black at its highest. If I'm not mistaken, and if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but they had a sizable black population. What we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years, I dare to say 20 years, you see this mass exodus of black people out of California. And nobody's asking why that happened. Well, when they started gang injunctions and mass incarcerated everybody, part of the condition of their parole was you cannot associate with known gang members.
Gang members, yeah.
All of California,
Yep.
LA and LA County,
It's
all of that is gang area.
gang area, right?
So there, you brought this, you locked up these people for 20 years, some of them 30 years. You let them out, but they can't live anywhere.
Nope.
They associate known gang members with a lot of them. You got to think, California, they've been gangbanging since the 50s, 60s.
Right.
Try the 40s.
They-
Try the 40s.
You're right.
If you really want to go back, try the Zoot Suit riots of the 40s.
So you got all these that are third generation, fourth generation.
About fourth or fifth, no.
So they are their parents, grandparents.
Yes.
Hey, so what's your recourse? I got to leave the state or stay on the street.
So, and when a lot of what they did, I can speak on it because I was in the Bay Area. I grew up there, and same thing happened in the Bay Area in Oakland. So when a lot of these guys got us, hardened criminals level 4 yards like San Quentin and Cochran and Folsom, they built the new Folsom, but the old Folsom was notoriously known for violent offenders, right?
Mm-hmm.
When a lot of those guys got paroled out, they were called stayaways, the stay-away 3-way clause. Like, so you can't be with somebody that's affiliated. You can't be in the neighborhood with someone who owns a gun. All those can violate you and get you right back with the sentence that you were released on. So what they did was, about 2001, 2002, they started gentrifying the whole Bay Area in Los Angeles. So when these cats came out of Santa Rita County Jail, LA County, and all the other jails all across the state, they sent all of them up to Lancaster, California, and Palmdale, California. And so that's where the new, quote unquote, South Central, which is no such thing as South Central, Compton and Los Angeles area criminals, gangbangers, where they all went. Now, someone's going to say, well, wait a minute, they couldn't be around gangbangers. Well, part of their condition is that they would allow them to go up there, but they wouldn't be able to come back to LA County.
Right.
So if anybody knows how Los Angeles is a dynamic, Lancaster is basically LA East. It's just basically, they've sent all these cats up there to Lancaster, and the nice part of it is Palmdale. So it's Palmdale, Lancaster, they're right next to each other, but 90% of the people in Lancaster are black and Latino, and they all were from Los Angeles County. So, and see, Santa Ana and Pasadena is all Latino. So when they get out of LA County, because remember, CDC, they classify you here in California. In the South, when you go to prison, they can just throw you in a jail, in a cell, with what Aryan Brotherhood do. That's just the way it is. But Arizona jails don't classify you either. But CDC is basically segregated. So when you're black and you go to jail here, you're going to be on the black side of the prison. They don't mix. We don't mix the prisoners up in California. So when they come out, they all go up to Lancaster or Palmdale, or they have to leave out of the state. Like you said, they can't come back to California. And that's why when you go on YouTube, you hear all these gangbangers and LA Crips and Bloods. They're doing their podcast, but they're not living in California. A lot of them are like in Alabama, Texas, the Deep South. Some are in Utah, believe it or not. Some are in Arizona. So they don't. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They don't let them come back to their actual residence because they will be violated. Like as soon as they get on the block, they'll violate.
And then also with doing that, so one thing we learned during the war, we had these prisons and everything else, or detention facilities, and you took the worst of the worst and you put them together. And instead of solving a problem, you created a problem because they networked and everything else. They clicked up. So what you're actually doing is you're creating a finishing school for some criminals that wasn't like highly sophisticated. Now by exporting them, you're exporting that problem to different states, and now that's where you see like part of this rise of gang affiliations in Des Moines, Iowa. You know, you got 60s rolling Crips in Des Moines, Iowa. Say, well, where the fuck you come from? Well, you know, 3 generations ago, I got fucking paroled out here and started my own set. You know, so you have those problems. You guys talked about the motor robberies and everything else, right? And again, they're not sending their best and their brightest
No.
over here.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Right? So just like with the Mariel Cuban boat lift, Castro didn't empty out his best and his brightest and his intellectuals. He sent the people you don't want.
You don't want, yeah, done. That's gonna take.
And again, we've gone from one plantation to the other, and they changed the face of the new slave. It's no longer us because we're no longer useful. They already got our vote. They ain't got to work for it.
Exactly.
Right? You know, like look at all your cities that's been historically voting one way. They're worse than some third world countries.
Yep.
Right? And the reason why I say that is because you live in America, your infrastructure shouldn't be that poor. When you got all this money coming in and all these taxes and everything else, but the only thing you're doing is just locking up people like us that look like me on humbles just because some officer says that, well, you were hanging out on an indicted avenue. The fuck is an indicted avenue?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
And another culprit is Section 8 and welfare, how that works and how they give it out. So when these guys come out,
let's not even get on that, man. Let's not even get on the whole child support system, the whole child custody and all this other stuff, because now you've really, was it during Nixon's second war on drugs? No, actually it's probably before Nixon got in the office. But I guess LBJ, he set up those social programs that incentivize females to kick black men out of the home so they can get more money. You can have this money as long as there's not a man in the house. So that co-opted this whole thing that we're facing now. I don't need no man. I don't need this. I don't need that. I'm gonna call a law on you. Everything else, right? So it's a, in my opinion, it's a multi-pronged pork, right? It's a giant with multiple feet that's just kicking us in the ass.
Oh, absolutely.
But I want y'all to look at one thing: is that with with all these immigrants that we're bringing in, they're not doing anything about their crime. They're allowing them to develop their criminal class. You got, on the one hand, you got states that have wholesale incentivize these people. You giving them thousands of dollars a month in stipends, in food stamps, in housing. But those same people, even though they get all of those resources, are still committing criminal acts.
Can I address that real quick?
Go ahead, bro.
You know why?
Go ahead.
Because the constituents that back those people that look like them, they vote. Right? See, our problem is we vote, but we only vote one way. So you already know you got my vote. You ain't got to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So put it like this. Think about this. If every time some cop shot an unarmed black male or unarmed black kid with a toy gun, we got out there and we voted that whole political system ass out of office. We held a referendum. We did this, we did that. If I can't recall you by referendum that next week because you didn't do anything or you didn't do what I wanted you to do, I'm damn sure going to hold a special election and recall your ass and that thing. Do you think that the amount of black killings unjustifiable would stop? We don't vote. We don't organize our political power and our money the way it should be organized. You look at all these immigrant organizations that want all this immigration reform and everything else. They vote. They put their money behind that. So they have to do something. The politicians don't want to work. That's why I became politicians in the first place. Right. Only reason why I had kids is because I didn't have remote controls. I needed someone to get up and change the television channel. Refrigerator. Think about it. You know what?
Well, Joe Val, with that being said, I will say this. Within the last, I think, I say if I push back to the last Obama term in office, I'm seeing that shift in Black America where they're saying, well, look, if you're not do anything for my vote, why continue to vote for? That's why you see the Republican Party as a whole has generated a 12% bump in Black male votership.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
but
other
again, but again, we're still far behind, right?
right.
If you look at, because I'm not voting this year, you're not voting this year. That's 4 votes. That's out the thing, right? So there's people that go out and they'll vote religiously, man, because they'll get down there and they'll do whatever at the church, and the pastor say do this, and old Sister Mary Jenkins, or the twice Reverend goat on the side of the road, Two Stone Baptist Episcopalian Church, cooking the peach cobbler, she's going to vote that way.
Well,
So they pander to us. Like, look at some of the people that's running now. Look at the last election. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. The fuck kind of shit is that, man?
Well, yeah, and the reason being because the system, but the system itself is already corrupt anyway. So for me, I don't buy into Democrat or Republican. Blacks only make up 13.
I agree.
We only make up 13% of the population, but the president is decided by the Electoral College. So the popular vote doesn't do anything.
I agree.
You got to still win the Electoral College.
But again, all politics are local.
Right.
I don't even know who my school board is. I don't even know who my councilman is.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Local for sure.
So if I change that momentum locally, right? If I change that momentum locally where they just can't come when my kids was outside playing football, my kids are just outside minding their business. They can't say it's 3 or more of you guys. This is a gang. Bust it up, right? Because that's those old Jim Crow laws. And now what ends up happening, right? Our kids is outside doing nothing, right? Doing just outside doing nothing. They want to be outside, right? Now a cop comes by, hey, Jim Crow law, it's 3 or more of you guys. It's a gang. What are you doing? Where are you going? Now that cop has discretion to run you through the system because you're resisting arrest. You don't want to identify yourself. Now you're in the system, right? Have you ever been arrested or detained? Right? It doesn't matter whether you were found guilty or not.
Yeah.
Have you ever been arrested or detained? Right there, boom, you done.
But see, Jovar has a point with that, because when I did the sheriff, they asked me, have I ever been arrested for anything? And it says in blue print, it says it right there in black print, whether you've been convicted or not.
Yep.
If you don't answer that within that sheriff department, you're automatically getting disqualified as far as your application. You have to mention that. Even though I didn't get convicted, even though I didn't go to trial, I still had to mention that I got arrested for this. So that does play a factor in, like you said, certain jobs.
Yeah, and think about it, right? None of us are civil rights attorneys or law scholars or anything else, right? So the way that Johnny Law rolls up on me is going to be different than the way he rolls up on someone that doesn't look like me. Because they roll up on me, it's like, where are you coming from? You got any drugs, weapons, anything else in the vehicle, yada, yada, yada. Well, my experience leads me to believe, X, Y, and Z. Why is that? Well, it's 2:30 in the morning and you're just driving the highway. It's America. I got gas in the car. But now I got to go to court and fight that. So now I have to take time, take money, and everything else. And I don't have a whole bunch of money to fight that case. So now I got to plead out, right? Because they get you in the system and say, hey, look, Hot Tub, here's the deal, right? Look, man, you facing the galaxy life, right? If you plead out, man, you'll get 10 years. You can be out in 5. But I didn't do it. Yeah, but more times than likely, man, they got an 85-95% conviction rate. Mm-hmm. No, they don't. They got motherfucker about 70% of motherfuckers.
Right, everybody else pleading down.
They got motherfuckers pleading out.
Now, see, that's something I could talk to, because I've been very honest on this channel and several other channels.
Oh shit! I didn't know that, man. I'm just right now. You're on my bottom screen, so I'm looking at you and shit, man. My bad.
No, you good. So, like, that's how they got me on the plea deal on the gun charge. That shouldn't have even been a charge. And my trial judge, after I took the plea, after I came off papers, and I ended up getting my record expunged because Georgia has their first offenders program. But my trial judge was the same judge I faced to get the expungement. And he explained to me, he said, you were within your right to do what you did. But because this is verbatim, he said, because you didn't shoot him, that's why you got the charge. He said you shouldn't have played out if you fear for your life. So they get us with that. You hit on something that what we don't have as a community, and we are one of the only communities that don't have this, is we don't have a black legal class. We don't put out a class of lawyers to protect our interests.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big fail on our part.
Yep.
You know, we tend to push our children towards other avenues.
Yeah. So, in all honesty, man, I really think after desegregation, we lost a lot of that community because, you know, and I'm not saying, hey, you know, sit me in the back of the bus, do this and do that. It has its good and its bad. But during segregation, we had our own infrastructure, right? You know, if I needed a doctor, I could go to a black dentist who's going to look after me and take care of my needs. I can go to a black doctor who's going to look after me and take care of my needs. Not one of these doctors that come over here, don't understand our culture, don't understand me, and be like, oh, blacks got a high tolerance for pain. They're just trying to get this. And, you know, if they cough enough, the master going to give them some of that good whiskey. Like, nah, like there's really something going on with this individual. You know, you have black lawyers that can explain stuff to you. Now it's just about turning a profit and everything else. So again, how do we fix that? How do we get it to where our professional class is servicing our community?
Us.
Well, part of the problem with that is because the America was not designed for black people, period. So when we were segregated, they thought that was far as that we could take it. That's why they created the historical black college universities. They thought that, well, just give them that, they'll go to school and they'll be okay. But what happened was we started creating greatness. You know, we had guys like Eddie Robinson made Grambling what it was. We had Francois Dubois. We had Percy Julian. We had Grover Cleveland Washington. We had all these black powerful people, Martin Luther King coming out of Morehouse. We had all these doctors and Julian Bond and on and on and on. And once they saw that, and then one of the pivotal moments in black history, and I do agree with you, we were probably better segregated, but they knew that they could not allow us to keep growing at that rate that we were growing. We had kids going to college, graduating, creating doctors and lawyers and scientists. And then when Texas Western University played Kentucky University in that basketball game, an all-white Kentucky team with Pat Riley on that team and an all-black team, and when they beat the brakes off of them in that national championship, after that game was a quote by Pat Riley said, hey, guys, this will be the last time we'll ever have a team with all white guys from this moment forward. And that when they desegregated, every white investor from Branch Rickey to Dodgers to anybody who had money that was white or Jewish, where did they go get their cash cow? They went to the black community. Yeah. Every major corporation, doctor, hospital, everybody came and got a piece of us. Frederick Douglass, they took the best of our elite and got them on their side. And then moving forward, you get guys like Martin Luther King come in and says, we all could be together. He never really fought necessarily for black rights. He fought for human rights, and he needed the white audience behind him to push his agenda. Whereas Malcolm Little was talking about segregation, and they didn't want to hear that because they already got a whiff of that with Black Wall Street and Tulsa. They started seeing how powerful we could be if we were individual. So they thought, like, let's destroy that. Bring in drugs, bring in welfare, bring in alcohol, bring in all these things that they did to take out the Indians and pretty much reduplicated on our community. Because when we were segregated, I 100%, my siblings were born in segregation, and they all talked about it. We were better, we were smarter, we were more brilliant. We had everything going our way, and we actually policed our own people.
Mm-hmm. I want y'all
we policed our own people. That's where that whole village raise a child comes from. That don't come from white America. That comes from black America. So you couldn't just run around with your pants down. Look at the old films and the old pictures. We wore hard shoes, dress slacks, shirts, ties. We were very proper, very intellectual, okay? But then they came in and ushered in all the gangster rap, all that stuff, and all this imagery, and made it think that we only could be basketball players. But that wasn't our strength. Athletics wasn't our strength coming out of segregation. We were scientists, doctors, and lawyers, and investors.
Well,
Very smart people to the point that they got paranoid and they did everything they can, the FBI and Hoover and all them, and to destroy our community. And they did it with guns, drugs, violence, prostitution, anything that was sexualized and exploit someone, they did it to our community. And then these clowns got a piece of that, and they couldn't look through the smoke through the mirror to see that, hey, man, this is hurting our own community. And the rest is history. That's just my personal opinion. I think I totally agree with you 100%. I'm not even doubting it. We were much, much more intellectually sharp, segregated than we were after segregation.
I want to bring something to everybody's attention, and I use my surroundings as an example. So, Atlanta has that tag as the Black Mecca, and nobody, but people don't look at is how did it get there, and why is it so successful as a model of Black run city without a whole lot of issues and problems, and juxtapose that to like a Detroit, which is also a Black run city, but it's no offense, Skillet, but it's full of problems.
Oh, it is. I ain't gonna say it is.
What you have in Atlanta is
you got VIX.
We were segregated even during integration. We were still segregated. So you have areas in Atlanta. If you come down through Atlanta, you have an area of $1 million homes, millionaires. You turn a corner and you're in the hood again. Now, how were these two able to exist in less than a block area, less than a mile area, without them intruding on each other? Well, because we've always had a business class in the hood. Mm-hmm. When you look at Andrew Young stayed on Cascade. Right down the street from him, it's the hood. But they understood, we've always understood that if we run them out of our community, then our community gonna fall. They're the ones propping up the community, and that's what you don't see in a lot of other cities. So when you put it in a situation where your millionaire class has to stay around the poorest and the worst of us, they're incentivized to make those corrections in the community as opposed to running up to Buckhead. We couldn't stay in Buckhead for a long time, even after integration.
But see,
in those areas. So if you can't stay in those areas, you got to make where you are better. Now, what we said, and I'm sorry, Jovan.
You're good. You're good.
But what you're seeing now is the influx of people coming in that are enjoying the benefits of that, but they don't understand those dynamics. So they're moving into areas that we traditionally haven't been in, but they're not building up those areas the way we did in the city limits. Mm-hmm. So they're not saying, I want to stay with my people and stay in a nice area. They're going out to predominantly white areas and areas that were actually dangerous for us, like Forsyth County, out there by Lake Lanier. We didn't stay out there for a reason, because your life was in danger. Those were Klan-held areas, still are, but they have Black people from out of town moving in that don't understand the historical significance of those areas, and they're changing the demographic, but they're also meeting a lot of resistance from that white population that's there. So, but we take care of one another here, and if we adopt that model mindset everywhere else,
I think we'll be okay.
Successful, even if we have a smaller population there, because everybody can't run to Atlanta. We're full right now.
Okay, y'all sure will.
Everybody can't come down here. You're gonna have to, at some point in time, as a people, we're gonna have to stay where we are and fight to make where we are better. Because we can't congregate all in one place. That makes us a target as a people. When we're spread out, it's harder to mass suppress us, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But when you're all congregated in one area, we don't have to do nothing. All y'all there, we just starve you out on your resources. Mm-hmm. So, adopt that mind. And I say all that to say, adopt that mindset of making where I am better instead of moving from where I am. Because if you make your city better, you also give us a fallback place. What if Atlanta collapses? Where are we going to go after that? We have to have other enclaves all around the country, just to bolster a resistance if need be. But that's just my point of view.
Yeah. That's an excellent point of view.
That's on point. And you touched on something I was going to address, right? You said you have well-to-do, upper middle class millionaires living with people that was working in the factories, right? You had a mixed neighborhood. When you have that, you have a certain amount of security in your neighborhoods and everything else, because now the cops just can't come down there and bust
Correct.
me over the head because Hot Tub Tony is my neighbor, and Hot Tub Tony sits on the city council, and he plays golf with the city councilor, and he has money. You have to police my neighborhood differently. Now, if it's just me and Skilly living up there, you come there, do whatever the hell you want to do, because we don't have a voice. And part of that is a lot of our well-to-do people, like you said, Hot Tub, they abandoned us. And I got it, man. At a certain point, you got too much money and everything else. You can't live where you used to live because you become a target.
Yeah.
Right? That's the nature of the beast right now. But back then, when we were restricted to where we could live, that rising tide lifted up all boats. Not to sound political or cliche, but I had a vested interest in that neighborhood that I lived in. I wanted it to be safe, so I did this and did that. We all got together. We looked after it. We was at Black Bourgeois class. We did this and we did that.
Yep.
They still had issues within that because we still had colorism within our own Black community. That's a fact.
And the elders were taken care of by the younger folks. They didn't have to go to the grocery store. They didn't have to worry about food, meat. Yeah.
And that's something that, like, how do we get back to that sense of community, that sense of belonging? How do we reestablish those roots?
Through your children. My son, I'll tell you this, she just passed maybe about 2 years ago, but I had an elderly lady to my left. And I would tell my son, grab her garbage cans on Wednesday before Thursday, and pull them to her curb. Don't ask her for anything. You do it. And for a while, she eventually started paying them. I didn't know she was paying them. I said, you don't have to give them none. She said, no. Just because he's doing it, I want to give him a little something. I said, well, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you don't have to pay him for doing something that I'm teaching him as a young man to look out for his older neighbor. And she was very grateful before she died, and she loved him to death. So, man, it goes back to us teaching our children that you don't have to get money is not everything, but just you never know. I got a grandmother that stays out of state. I would want the next young man to make sure my grandmother's good. And that's the mindset that I take when I tell my son.
Now, also, with that being said, I'm not going to sit up here with these rose-colored lenses on my glasses and think that we was all living harmoniously and everything else.
Oh, of course.
We had our own number banks, we had our own organized crime and everything else, but we kept it contained. Hey, the numbers pay for a lot of people to go to college. Yeah, a lot of Cadillacs. All right.
You got to look at something. You hit on a very important part, bro, that people do not want to admit to, bro. You really hit on something. We had organized crime. Since that time, we have not been able to organize our crime because, like it or not, your criminal class of anybody's society always ends up being your political class, your legal class, because when that first criminal class makes their money, i.e., the Kennedys,
Rockefellers and the Carnegies before the Kennedy. But yeah, you're right.
First generation is their criminal class.
Yeah.
Once they get their money up to a certain amount, they send their kids to be politicians, lawyers, and they do that to get them in positions to where they can decriminalize the activities that they use to get to where they are, basically. And to also ensure that nobody else can follow suit. And
to stop the competition.
Well, just like marijuana. That's how they did marijuana. They criminalized everybody less than 20 years ago. Now it's legal.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect example. Alcohol prohibition. Yeah. Now it's legal. Tobacco. Now it's legal. Prostitution. It's legal. Looking at Instagram, social media is basically prostitution. Yeah. Just being honest with you, it's soft porn at the very least. Yeah. Prostitution at the worst.
Yeah.
I want you to look at something. Look at your Asian communities. So the rash of catalytic converters that's going on. Everybody, there's a lot of catalytic converters getting stolen all over the country. That's an organized ring led by the Asian community. That's not me bashing Asian. They just busted up one of the rings, and it was Asian led.
Right.
The massage parlors, that's legalized. That's prostitution.
Yeah.
And a lot of the women that are working in those massage parlors are illegal Asian immigrants.
Yeah, most of them are Korean. So Atlanta, the Atlanta metropolitan area has a really, really bad problem with rub and tugs and everything else. And again, it's one of those things that's not talked about in polite company. It's something that's talked about, at the house and everything else. Now you have to give the other groups credit because they don't air their dirty laundry in public.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
You know what? I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I don't give them credit. You know why I don't give them credit? Because law enforcement knows about them and they're allowed to do that. We're not
but hot tub. Here's the deal right here, man. It goes back to that political power, right? It goes back to that money and how they organize and everything else, right? Because you mean to tell me, and straight numbers, man, the majority of people that's here illegally are Asians, South Korea. They overstay their visas, or they come in through Hawaii, and then they come to the States, right? And they get rolled up into that network. And Eastern Europeans.
Yeah.
But they look like them, so it's overlooked. Your Asians, they have that political power and that backing of their community to do that. We're gonna sit up here as soon as this live is over. I'm gonna be like, man, I went on Skilly's live and that jive sucker did X, Y, and Z. Right? I'm just gonna go ahead and air that dirty laundry out. I'm not gonna keep it amongst us three. So now people know what we're doing, who hates who, and everything else. They're gonna get Skilly to roll over on me, or I'm gonna roll over on Skilly because I want his place. So they're better organized, Hot Tub. And you hit this. You said this since I've been seeing you up on panels. It's about that organization, putting that money behind it, right?
Bottom line.
And we don't do that very well.
We don't.
But
that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
That's a valid opinion. That is a critique that I've leveled on our community for a long time. Is that we don't collectively put our money behind a single solitary goal and say we're not gonna waver from this until we achieve this goal.
Yeah.
The Asian community, that's 2% of the population nationwide. But they're able to get this stuff done, like you said, because they know they don't have the numbers to do anything, but they'll put up $2-3 million behind a candidate. And when you look at their population, they're not putting up that much. I've said this over and over and over again. On a local level, $10,000 will get a lot of stuff done. $10,000 will get you mayor. $10,000 will get you on the city council.
It's like this right here, right? When you look at like your towns, and let's take out these large LAs, Detroits, and Atlantas. Let's look at these towns, right? When you have 25 Chinese restaurants, 25 Mexican restaurants, like where I live at, man, I got so many. There's so many Mexican restaurants in here, it's ridiculous, right? and everyone knows what's going on, right? And it's not bad because they're out there getting it. They're out there getting it, right? But they're also doing other things with all these restaurants, right? If you know, you know. Now, we don't own strip malls where all black businesses go in and we keep that thing up. Look at how the Koreans did in LA with the LA riots, right? The rooftop Koreans, that's where that term came from, right? They banded together, they stuck together and everything else. We don't have that much anymore. So it's like I'm not helping Skilly run his business. He runs a donut shop. I got a butcher shop, and Hot Tub got a clothes company. We're not looking out for each other's mutual interest. And that's what we have to do, because if Skilly's shop goes under in that little strip mall, my rent's going to go up because the landlord needs to get that money, right?
Absolutely.
But now I'm looking at the short picture, right? Why don't we get together and buy this fucking building? For generations, we got gangbangers dying over shit they don't even own. How backwards is that?
I'm gonna give you something, man. And you saw this with Nipsey.
Oh man, come on.
Nip bought that
That strip mall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what the city of LA did was they came in and they kept continually hitting with it on gang injunctions. They continually with loitering. If anything happened within a certain perimeter of the strip mall,
Yeah. Make it a nuisance property.
that's how they get us
Yeah.
in prosperous areas. And even out here in Atlanta, they do that to the nightclubs. If you know anything about Atlanta,
Oh yeah.
Big on nightclub.
up by its nightlife.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Its life generates as much income collectively as a Coca-Cola does.
Yeah.
For the city, not nationwide, not worldwide, but for the city. So what they tend to do in certain areas outside of the city in the smaller suburbs is that they'll hit you with a nuisance ordinance, is what they call them out here.
Oh yeah, too much noise. Yeah, no noise and yeah.
They'll keep doing that until you go under.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta go. Yeah.
Well, they'll get a court order to close you down because of state statute, city ordinance, whatever. Yeah. We've had X amount of calls and whatever, gunfights, shootings, whatever. But it wasn't even all that. It was just, after the club. So you call cops, and it was just like you cite 2 people for loud music because it's at the officer's discretion.
Yeah.
Right. You cite people for loitering because it's at the officer's discretion. Right now, you start stacking charges, and you present that. And boom,
we can combat that because we've combated it here. They tried it. They always continually try it. But what you saw was, I think it was maybe 4 years ago, right before COVID, 4 or 5 years ago, you had all the nightclub owners got together and they kept getting hit with ordinance. So they went to the city council, and basically all they did was they took money, put behind certain candidates to get the numbers to overturn a lot of ordinance. But that's how you're underclass. That's how you're what they call it, vice class of your community. That's how they can combat those types of activities. But it all boils down to you got to put that money behind what you want your agenda to be.
Yeah, and it's just like back in the day when you had the numbers parlors and you had the whorehouses and everything else. Cops knew where it was at, but you paid them off. You paid someone off who you didn't get messed with. What's the difference between putting in your own politicians to keep them in there? It's the same thing. We just call it something else.
If you can't install your own politician, like I said, in the small town, it's very easy to install a politician. But if you don't have that luxury, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to take that money, especially if you're into illicit activities and you make money off of it. You're gonna have to take some of that money, a good portion, and put it behind. If I can't put up my politician, I'm gonna rent this one.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
You just think of that as O&M. That's operations and maintenance. That's that's overhead. That's all it is, man. That's overhead.
A lot of your smarter, use the drug trade. A lot of you smarter drug dealers use the high-end lawyers.
Yep.
That's a good strategy. A better strategy would be, I don't even need you. Let me buy this judge who's coming up for re-election.
Not even that, man. Let me get that parole. Let me get that patrol cop. Let me get that rookie, and let me help his career so he can become chief.
Lower level, that works. That's going to be long-term strategy. That is.
Well, hey. Let me get that desk sergeant on the humble. He's like, yeah, you was at Magic City last week. Oh, I know. Like, man, go on about your business. Hey, keep your speed to a reasonable level.
I tell anybody, Magic, to do that old Magic City, that is a fucking genius because that club has been in business for damn near 50 years. And he survived in the heart of the city, and he survived everything. Man. But he's very politically tied in.
Yeah. He's politically active. He's donating to all candidates that's running because whoever wins, he wins.
Mm-hmm. And the game we have to play. We have to stop marrying ourselves to a Democratic Party. Play both sides. Put money on Republican candidates. Say this is what we want in this community.
There you go.
If the Democrats ain't gonna do it, which we see that they not.
Nope.
So let me go over here. Republicans, hey man, in my city, I got $10,000. You want to be mayor? If not, I'm gonna give it to your rival.
Yeah.
No, it don't cost much to be mayor. Here 10 bands right here. Well, what you want for this 10 bands? Well, this is the problem we have. See if you could do something about it. Because you can't outright just tell them, I'm gonna give you this money and I want you to do this.
Nah.
No.
Mention the problem too.
Yeah, you got to leave that open.
Right.
Like whatever you can do for me, you do it.
And then it's not gonna work every time. And I'll be the first one. You might get burned. You might lose the money on that one. But I guarantee you the next one you won't lose it on.
That's right.
I guarantee you one of them candidates gonna look at that, especially if they struggling financially, because the Democratic Party, the Republican Party do not put money behind local candidates. They have to raise their own funds.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm in a position to, even if I'm not, if I can get 20 people behind me to put up $200 a piece, $500 a piece, we run this city.
Mm-hmm.
Easily
Yeah.
on a small term.
Yeah.
If not somebody on the city council, I can put 2 or 3 people on the city council.
Yep.
That's what we have to start looking at. National elections don't work for us.
Nope.
You know, we looking at 2 terrible candidates, and neither one of them is
Neither
offering.
one of
And then
both of them terrible.
yeah, you have to be strategic in your placement. You know, you got to be strategic in where you place those pieces on that chessboard, right? You know, because everyone's going after like the councilman with the largest council district and all this and all that. I want that little dude in the corner that he only got like 15, 25 constituents in his district, but he has a key vote because he sits on the board education committee, and that's where all the money's at. You know what I mean?
and I'd advocate for everybody to do this. I've talked to the channel many a time.
Mm-hmm.
Start going to your city council meetings. They are once a month. I know out here mine, second Tuesday of every month. Start going to school board meetings. We don't do that, and you can change a lot just by showing up and putting something on the table.
Yeah.
They speak publicly. You say what you want. If you want something done, and you do it publicly out there, it's a strong possibility they'll get behind it just because you showed up. Because when I go to the school board meetings, you know what I see? Elderly white people who ain't had kids in school
Years.
in 40 years. And that's who's dictating policy for the school.
White suburban women, man. The daughters and the sisters and the mothers of the Confederacy, and that's why they fucking fucked up all this history.
And these people don't have a dog in the fight.
No, they don't.
But when you show up and you start saying stuff, guess what happens? Things change.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're starting to say, oh, you showed up to this one, oh, that might be a fluke. You show up to the next one, okay, I might need to listen to him. You show up on a continual basis, your word means something.
Oh yeah, because you're consistent. Yep, and I can agree to Hot Tub Tony with that, because when my son was in Head Start, they had a parent teacher board, and with that parent teacher board, we had to vote on policies and stuff. But the president of that at that time, she had to sign off on it because it was a government ran program, and the parents had to be there, had to be involved in order to get the dollars, in order to keep the program going. Well, the following year, I became president of the parent teacher conference. I was the first black male to become president over the parent board of Head Start. And so, man, it's definitely being there and showing up in your face, and especially me being, I think I was basically, first year was the only black male on the board, parent teacher board. And from there, I became president the next year, and I had to sign my name on stuff that we'll go through in meetings and stuff. And I became very cool with the director of the Head Start. So, you know, she was telling me stuff that you wouldn't think she's supposed to tell me, but by me being there and me being consistent, she didn't mind sharing certain stuff with me. So it does, showing up and showing your face does help, especially what Hot Tub is saying. I'm a witness to that.
Hey man, I got something in the works right now. So it's been going on for the last 2 years. We have a teacher shortage in my city. So what they've been doing with those teacher shortages is they've been filling them with these people from other countries. And now you have a person with a strong accent and speaks very little English teaching, and they always put them in the kindergarten, first, second first, I say pre-K through fourth, they put those kind of teachers in those classes to teach your youth. Well, how can your child learn if they can't understand the teacher?
I'm trying to teach you. Absolutely.
And so what we got going on now is something I brought up is that I brought the initiative into our school district that they can no longer do that. Teacher has to be fluent in English.
Yeah.
They can teach that. Now, it's not going to go into effect this year. I know that. But if they supposed to come and vote on it, if that passes the next school year, guess what? Those teachers that can't speak English worth a day,
Gotta go.
they got to go.
Gotta go.
And that needs to happen because all of that franchises our children. If I can't understand my teacher, then my parents are wondering. Then me as a parent, my child has bad grades. We can't understand the lesson. All of are things that we have to take on the local level. We can't wait for the presidential election time to come in 4 years. We can't wait every 2 years for our congressperson to come and tackle this on the national level. No. Hey, man, we put this on the ballot right now.
Yeah.
We can do a special election right now. So we got that's something that we need to be more hands-on on.
I agree. By me doing that, I definitely agree. And me seeing the politics sides of Head Start, I definitely agree. We have to get out there, and we have to worry about our own kids' education. We can't have anybody else worry about them, And that's one thing I learned when I decided to volunteer my time when my son was in Head Start, and a very valuable lesson because one thing I can tell y'all, a lot of them kids will act crazy, but as soon as I get in the classroom and they see a male presence, their attitude change.
Especially a male presence that looks like them.
Yep.
That's the key in that.
Yeah, and I can remember two of them that I still wonder about to this day. A little girl and a little boy that my son was seeing. I wonder about them two every day. They was very, very good kids, but I could tell their household was in trouble. And it wasn't the kids' fault. It was just where they was, their mother and their father. And I could tell that their household was troubling. But just two little kids that I can remember from my son's Head Start that I think about each and what are they doing and where are they at in life. So it does as a father and children that's around your children. Some children do stick out more than others. And it's just them two that really stick out to me when my son was in Head Start. And I wonder about them. I wonder about them to this day because they were special children, man, to me. So if you're active, then you know what I'm talking about and you understand what I'm saying.
And I'm gonna say one thing, Kelly, because we do get a bad rap as the Black community, and saying all the fathers not here, the fathers not now. So that was true up until a point. That was true up until our generation.
Okay.
These kids, these millennials, the older Gen Z kids who are now being parents themselves, I got to applaud them, and I would never take this away from them. They may not be together, mother, father may be together, but that father is active. I see it with my brothers. I see it in my community. So I want us to stop getting into the doom and gloom. We have enough bad media against us. Already. We as Black people shouldn't fall into stereotypes and tropes, especially when we know they're not true. We have to start highlighting the good in our community. When we see, that's why I point out like our crime rate, only racial groups crime rate that's decreased in the past 40 years. The only one. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't get talked about because we're the face of criminality. They don't talk about fatherhood in the fact that the CDC came out with a study that said the Black father is the most involved father of any racial group. Because that doesn't fit the narrative. The narrative is that the Black father ain't involved, Black good. Yeah. So when we know these things to not be true, we know these tropes to not be true, it's incumbent upon us to come in and say, no, that ain't right. Yeah. And not only to say it, but you know the actual stats on things, to know that where you hear that at. Oh, the CDC just put out a report in 2018 that stated this. Right. Oh, the FBI just put out their crime stats for the last 10 years in 2022, and this said this. That's a big thing, and that's one thing I strive to do. Is when I come on these platforms and talk about things, I'm talking from a factual point of view, and I can show you actual stats that can be verified when I say these things. Very few times I come up in here and talk out my ass. So that's on us too, and platforms like yours, because you're a media apparatus right now, Skilly. You and everybody else on YouTube. So it's incumbent upon y'all to change the narrative out there, and that's a task that you shouldn't take lightly.
Oh, what's going on, Ghetto? I ain't seen you in a minute. What's going on, brother? I see you in here.
What the goddamn Ghetto?
Come on, you brought out Ghetto. I ain't seen Ghetto name up in chats in a while. I want to say since the beginning of 2024.
Ghetto, where you been hiding at?
What's going on, Ghetto, man? Nice to see you, brother. Nice to see you in the chat, as always.
Yeah, come on back, Ghetto. I enjoy arguing with you.
Yeah, man, come on back, especially with your son, man. I enjoyed that. Was it with his son or his daughter?
That was his son when he did the videos with him, man.
Yeah, man. Bring that back, man. We need to see that. I appreciate. I love that. I love to see that, man.
Yeah, but Skilly, I'm gonna drop off, man. You know, I enjoy, as always, man. I enjoy your topic, bro. You got a good channel going on, man, and just, hey, man, keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing, bro. You got a follower behind you, man.
All right, man. Before you get up out of here, man, I'm about to get up out of here myself. I wasn't planning on going about an hour, but when we get to talking, for some reason, I go 2 hours.
You have great topics, bro, and I don't think you get enough credit for that, man. You know, so we appreciate you, man.
I appreciate y'all, man. I did yesterday take the physical agility test for the sheriff's department, and I'm gonna read it. It basically says Michigan Sheriff's and Training Council Local Corrections Officer Physical Agility Successful Test Completion Form. So I did pass my physical ability test for the sheriff's department. My next thing is I have to send this over to Wayne County, and then they have to set me up with a background investigator, and then it's 7 weeks of training. So, man, thank people like, who can I thank? What's his name? He said something to me. Chopping with Chan. He told me to put my weight on, go outside. I had to do like a course. So I did like a little course in my house. He said, go outside to the corner, run to the house with your weights on, and do your course. Do your obstacle in the house. So shout out to him, man, for giving me that suggestion. That pretty much helped me with the test. So everybody that came on gave me suggestions on what to do to get prepared for this test, man. I appreciate every single one of you guys and what y'all have done for me and being a support system for me, man. Thank you very much. I love each and every one of you guys. Thank you.
Congratulations, Skilly. Hey, man, I want to see you be a cop because we need more positive black cops in place. Well, cops that represent the communities they police.
Yes, sir. What's going on, Paris? Unmute your mic. There you go.
What's happening, brothers?
What's going on?
What's up, Paris?
Hey, what's going on? Hot Tub.
What's that?
Everybody else. I hear y'all in here dropping this knowledge, man. I thought I'd come in and bump down for just a minute.
Go ahead. Talk your shit.
Hey, we're in an important time, believe it or not. In the election, no news outlets are going to tell you. None of them are going to state to you that out of the 535 congressional seats, which, by the way, all of them are up for election this time, 53 of them decided to retire. They're taking their ball going home. So those are going to be open seats. This is the United States. All of your congressional seats are up for bid. So this is what controls the electoral college and all of this. But I want you to know, any of these, they're only talking about the two top dogs. But there's a whole lot more at stake. This is a great time for people to get registered to vote. You have to be registered 60 days before the election. And it's winding down under 100 for sure. So this is time to mobilize and energize everybody to get their ashtrays to the poll, get in your butt boards, just get to the poll and vote. Carry some elderly folks that can't get there and help situate them so that if they have to wait, that they can wait in the air conditioning until the time for them to go in. But that's those that have voted early or taken ballots. It needs to happen. But that's all I wanted to say on it. Everybody else has some wonderful points. Great insight. Peace to you guys. Wish everybody well. And keep on doing what you're doing. I finally made it to one of the Bulletproof Sundays.
For sure, man. I appreciate you. Another thing, a lot of people don't know. Make sure where you're registering to vote, make sure your address matches where you need to vote. A lot of people make that mistake and they go to polls not where you're supposed to be voting. So make sure your address. I believe Steve Harvey on his website has where you can go figure out where you need to go vote, before the election. So check out his website. I can't remember what it is. If I can find it, I'll put it on my social media somewhere. But you can literally go see where you vote.
And if you lost at that, your state and your county, just put it in and say polling place. And it's going to ask you for your address, and you go in there and it's going to tell you exactly where you are. And it's going to show you your status and everything. I had some links. I don't have them readily available. But yeah, it's real easy. And if you get lost, find your precinct people. You know, it's relatively easy now because this iPhone show you everything else. Most of us can do just about anything we want to do. If you can order a pizza online,
right?
we can just about handle checking our voting status. But if you end up with a provisional ballot, it's probably gonna get shredded. You want a real ballot, not a provisional. You know. But anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there. This is very pivotal election time frame. Nobody is talking about the congressional seats. You know, because this is every other year. This year it happens to be all of them. And 53 of them cotton pickers going home. They're gonna be brand spanking new. So that's something, you know, every state has 2 senators, 2 congressmen. All of them they trying to get reelected now. So they're gonna all be in your mailbox. They're gonna send snail mail. You already got them little slick cards. And that ought to be a sign. All the cards that's come for election mail, you know, the advertisement, it's all slick. That ought to be your sign.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add to that because I don't. And one thing I will not do is I don't tell you who to vote for.
Right.
Everybody knows what's in their interest. If your candidate, I will say this. I agree 100%. Have yourself registered to vote. Always stay registered to vote because a lot of states will take you off of that if you
absolutely.
Wow. With that being said, vote for your interest. If a
best interest, your own best interest. Yes.
If the political candidate has not done anything, if you haven't seen a significant change over the last 4 years in your community, and that candidate is up for re-election, guess what? It may be time for them to move, and it may be a party traditionally voted for. If they're not operating in your interest, get them up out of there.
Get them up out of there.
Empowering your community specifically. Not a lift-all program, not lifting everybody up, not none of that. If they're not specifically offering tangible opportunities and benefits for your community, they do not deserve your vote. Do not let anybody shame you into voting for a specific party or candidate. Do not let anybody sway your vote. If you know in your heart that I don't support this person because they have not done anything within my interest, go with that.
Exactly.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
To the poll either. Project 2025, don't let that shit scare you. Vote in your interest. If it's your interest to vote a certain way, then vote that way. But if it's not in your interest, if they haven't done anything for you in the past 60 years,
get them up out of there.
Time to do something different.
That's right. And if you got $200 billion stacked up in stuff, I expect you to vote differently from the guy who is only making between $30,000 and $80,000 a year. You know, I mean, the other thing is, man, very good. The thing about voting, don't do that straight party stuff either, because what you need to do, you need to be doing this way earlier than what we're talking about. But go in, if you can look up all these stars on TV and see about their lives, you can look up all of your incumbents and see how they voted in the years past on issues that concern you and your neighborhood and your family and friends. Library of Congress, it'll say something about Thomas, Library of Congress, and then you can go in there and get to your representatives and see what their voting record is on things. If you got a job, you want to find out who's labor friendly. because they may be trying to get you out and get you replaced with some folks that work $15 an hour at halftime. You know, so you definitely do your research. And everybody has been able to do research on everything else. They can find a TikTok video. They can find their way to OnlyFans.
Right.
They can find their ashtray up to the library to the Thomas Library of Congress website and find their representatives, politicians and whatnot, and find out what they stand for, what kind of bills they've been passing, how they've been voting on resolutions, and all of these things, and then find out how it's relative to you. And even if you have never done it, it's not too late, and you can do it moving forward. The next time you'll be stone ready. All right, I'm off the mic, y'all. Appreciate everybody.
Well, I'm about to call it quits too, man. I got to get ready to get up, eat, and get ready to work for work, man. I appreciate every single guy that came up on this panel, man. I love to see black men having a conversation, man, without disrespecting each other, man. I have a good time. One thing I could say, this is my therapy before I get my week started, man. So I appreciate every single guy that comes up here and have a conversation.
No doubt, man. You ain't bullshit. This is a good therapeutic session.
So shout out to y'all, man, for putting yourselves out here, man. I appreciate you fellas for keep coming on and rocking with me. I don't think I'm interested, but hey, I seem to keep on doing it. So like I said, it's my therapy. So
don't shoot yourself down, brother. You'll be surprised. All right, let me. You would be surprised because the main thing is you open the door.
Yeah.
You greeting people, you are welcoming people, and you are chatting with people, and you will.
He lost connection.
Give him a second. He might pop back in.
What's up, a resilient dad? I just seen them pop in here.
Oh, shout out to Miss Gina. I saw you in the chat. Hey, Gina. Shout out to the Ewins.
Oh yeah, Jason Shannon Ewing. I said her name wrong again. Whatever. Don't correct it.
That we missed, bro. Shout out to Sweet Thumb. We see you. Walt E. DJ Play Nice. And
man,
missed.
thank you guys. But I'm out of here, man. I got to get up out of here. So love each and every one of you guys, man. Continue to stay safe. Look out to one another. Take care of one another, man. We all we got. If we continue to keep on going the way we going, we gonna kill each other, extinct each other, man. So the brother next to me, man, we gotta take care of each other. Everybody else take care of each other. We gotta learn to take care of one another, man. But peace. Ending my live stream.